visit India on your way back to Washington, D.C. This is a sign of our close friendship. It also underscores the importance of regular consultations between our two governments at a time of enormous challenges and far-reaching changes taking place in the world. Secretary Clinton and I reviewed the entire gamut of our bilateral relations. We expressed satisfaction with the progress in our relationship and are optimistic about the future. The emerging global trends only reinforce our shared conviction in the importance of this relationship for the future of our two countries and the shape of the world in this century. We have an extraordinary frequency and depth in our dialogue and engagement. We continue to make tangible progress across virtually every area of bilateral cooperation. We express hope that our economic relationship, which is very important to both countries, would grow much faster and realize its enormous potential. There are issues on both sides. I did convey our concerns about the continuing difficulties on mobility of professionals, especially for our IT companies, and protectionist sentiments in the US. With regard to global supply chain in services industry, I want to thank Secretary Clinton for her personal attention to the welfare of Indians and Indian students in the United States. Secretary Clinton and I also had a good discussion on the path to fostering commercial cooperation in civil nuclear energy. I assured her of India's commitment to provide a level playing field to all US companies within the framework of national law and our international legal obligations. We were pleased that US companies are engaged in substantive discussions with the Indian operator, Nuclear Power Corporation of India Limited. We hope that they will make early progress towards contractual steps. Our strategic consultations have a global character, with convergence of views on a range of global and regional issues. We discussed our vision for Afghanistan. We stressed the need for sustained international commitment to build Afghan capacity for governance, security, and economic development, and to support Afghanistan with assistance, investment, and regional linkages. The recent attacks in Kabul highlight once again the need for elimination of terrorist sanctuaries in the neighborhood and the need for stronger action from Pakistan on terrorism, including on bringing justice the perpetrators of Mumbai terrorist attack. We also discussed our respective relations with Pakistan. I conveyed our vital stakes in peace and stability in the Persian Gulf and wider West Asian region, given the 6 million Indians who live there and the region's importance to our economy. We also discussed the importance of peaceful settlement of the Iranian nuclear issue through dialogue and negotiations, based on the position that Iran has rights as a member of NPT, but it must also abide by its obligations as a non-nuclear weapon state under the NPT. Secretary Clinton and I had a fruitful discussion on the Asia-Pacific and Indian Ocean region, including relations with China and developments in countries in India's immediate neighborhood. We exchanged views on our recent interaction with our Bangladeshi counterpart also. Finally, we look forward to a productive strategic dialogue in June in Washington, D.C., and not only to showcase the extraordinary progress in our engagement, but also outline how we intend to take our strategic partnership to a new level. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And let me congratulate you on the completion of 50 years in active public service. And I'm delighted that we are continuing to work together on such a broad range of important issues affecting our two countries. I was also delighted to see the Prime Minister yesterday. It's always a pleasure to be back in Delhi and to reaffirm what President Obama has called one of the defining partnerships of the 21st century. The United States and India are two great democracies with common values and increasingly convergent interests. In our meetings today, we have worked to focus our agenda and prepare for the strategic dialogues in June. Let me touch on 4 key lines of action we discussed. First, we have to continue expanding trade and investment between our countries. We've come a long way. When I first visited India in 1995, trade stood at $9 billion, and this year we expect to surpass $100 billion. But I truly believe there is much more potential to unleash. We should be working toward having one of the world's largest trading relationships, and we need to continue to reduce barriers and open our markets to greater trade and investment. As part of this, we discussed our landmark civil nuclear agreement, and Minister Krishna reiterated India's commitment to ensure a level playing field for U.S. companies. We welcomed the fact that the Nuclear Power Corporation of India and leading U.S. companies are engaged in direct conversations on how to move forward together. Second, we need to deepen our security cooperation. Our militaries are conducting training exercises unprecedented in scale and scope. We've expanded our work on behalf of our joint fight against terrorism and violent extremism. And our navies are cooperating to combat piracy, patrol the sea lanes, and protect the freedom of navigation. Third, we have to work to meet the challenges and seize the opportunities in South and Central Asia. I updated the minister on the new strategic partnership agreement that President Obama signed with President Karzai, and I expressed our strong appreciation for India's support for the Afghan people's efforts to build a more peaceful and prosperous future, and its intention to host a conference in late June to encourage greater private sector investment in Afghanistan. We also look to India as a partner in the broad international effort to prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons. The best way to achieve this diplomatic solution that we all seek is for the international community to stay united and to keep the pressure that has brought Iran back to the negotiating table on Iran until we reach a peaceful diplomatic resolution. I welcome the progress India is making to reduce its purchases of oil from Iran and hope to see continuing progress, because we believe that if the international community eases the pressure or wavers in our resolve, Iran will have less incentive to negotiate in good faith or to take the necessary actions to address the international community's concerns about its nuclear program. Finally, we need to work together to promote a shared vision for the Asia-Pacific, especially as we head toward the East Asia Summit in Cambodia this November. I have reaffirmed to the Minister and continue to speak out in favor of India's Look East policy and its growing role across the region, particularly in support of democracy and economic reform in Burma. As an experienced democracy, India can provide key support, and greater trade and transit between India, Bangladesh, Burma, the countries of Southeast Asia, would fuel even more political and economic progress and growth. So our strategic interests are indeed converging, and so must our efforts. I'm looking forward to welcoming the Minister when he comes to Washington in June for the next round of our strategic dialogues. So again, let me thank you, Minister, for your partnership, and let me again thank the government and people of India for the warm welcome and hospitality.
The two ministers will take a few questions. Let's begin with Mr. Richard Wolff, USA Today.
Thank you, Secretary Clinton. I'd like to ask you in particular about the latest underwear bomb plot in Yemen and how that relates to other terrorist issues in Pakistan involving Ayman al-Zawahiri, involving Hafiz Saeed, and your thoughts also on the rise of the Haqqani network in Afghanistan, whether you feel that the efforts against terrorism are indeed still working, or if there's something else needed.
Well, Richard, that's obviously an incredibly important question that is on the minds of not only our government, but of course the Indian government, because we both know the tragedies and losses that come with terrorism on our soil. So we have increased our cooperation between India and the United States, and we're going to continue to do everything we can, not only to prevent terrorists from carrying out their evil acts of violence, but also to try to convince people not to be recruited into terrorism, which is a very much of a dead end, literally and figuratively, when it comes to pursuing any kind of political or ideological aims. In democracies like ours, people should be in the marketplace of ideas. If they have views, they should put them to the test of the debate, the dialogue, and the political process. So with respect to the plot that was discussed in Washington, as the White House said, the device did not appear to pose a threat to the public air service, but the plot itself indicates that these terrorists keep trying. They keep trying to devise more and more perverse and terrible ways to kill innocent people. And it's a reminder as to why we have to remain vigilant at home and abroad in protecting our nation and in protecting friendly nations and peoples like India and others. With respect to the question on the terrorist groups that still operate out of Pakistan, we are committed to going after those who pose direct threats to the United States, to Afghanistan, and to our allies in Afghanistan. We're also cooperating closely with India regarding the threats that emanate against them. The 166 people killed in Mumbai during that horrific terrorist attack in 2008 included 6 Americans. So as part of our Rewards for Justice program, we have offered a $10 million reward that could lead to the arrest or conviction of Hafiz Saeed for his role in those attacks. Our Rewards for Justice offer demonstrates our seriousness in obtaining additional information that can withstand judicial scrutiny and that leads to arrest or conviction and brings the perpetrators and the planners of the Mumbai attacks to justice. Because this effort that we are pursuing is not just about the United States. Combating violent extremism is something we all agree on, and we need to do more. And we look to the government of Pakistan to do more. It needs to make sure that its territory is not used as launching pads for terrorist attacks anywhere, including inside of Pakistan. Because the great unfortunate fact is that terrorists in Pakistan have killed more than 30,000 Pakistanis. So it's very much about the people of Pakistan and their right to go to a market or go to a mosque to live their lives. And we need stronger, more concerted efforts on behalf of governments and societies against the scourge of terrorism. Terrorism is a tactic. It is a losing tactic, but we have to prevent as much death and destruction as possible as we uproot and destroy these groups and convince those who they recruit that that is no longer a decision that should be made.
Abhisar Sharma from Aaj Tak.
About the 10 million bounty on Hafiz Saeed. My question to you is that in order to sound politically correct in Pakistan, is the US indulging in doublespeak on the issue of Hafiz Saeed? And I would like to draw your attention to what Ambassador Munter said in Islamabad, that there is no exclusive bounty on Hafiz Saeed. And my question to Foreign Minister Krishna is, did you raise this issue? Because this is contrary to the, the things that were told to us, to our government, by the US ambassador in India.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't really follow your question. We have a Rewards for Justice program that we have used quite successfully for a number of years. It has led to evidence and information and tips that we have used to bring terrorists to justice. We've used it in Pakistan, we've used it around the world. So this is not unique, this is not a special case.